RN.
I'm sorry, an RN?
An RN.
And what type of any focus?
I worked in the labor and delivery room for about 38 years.
38 years in labor and delivery?
Correct.
Helping women that were having babies. And
correct.
Obviously you kept up with the studies and continuing education and things?
Yes, I did.
And during that period of time, let's say October, November of 2022, what did you observe about Lindsay?
She reached out to me in November and told me that she felt unwell.
Did she describe any symptoms for you?
She did.
Tell the jurors what she said.
She felt, mostly she had insomnia. She was losing her appetite. She was very anxious and sad.
Did she tell you that she was seeing doctors?
Yes.
And at some point, did you recommend, did she come to you and ask you for help regarding seeing a doctor?
Yes, she asked for my support.
And did you obviously gave it to her?
Yes.
And what did you do to make any recommendations for her?
I reached out to my colleagues who were running a clinic for women that were struggling postpartum.
Would that be the South Shore?
Yes, correct.
And at some point, as a result of your intervention, was a nurse practitioner, Julie Hall, agreeing to step in and help out?
Yes,
Did Lindsay see Julie?
I believe she did.
And you really pretty much were out of the mix at that point. You basically made the connection, knew that she was gone there, right?
Correct.
Did you find that Lindsay was interested at all times in trying to get better and see doctors?
Very much so.
Did you find at all, do you have an opinion with your observations of Lindsay as to whether or not she was offered help and would just spurn it and not see doctors and not have
She was
treatment?
begging for help.
And during that period of time, you were there for her by text and by telephone and in person.
Correct.
Now, during that time that you were, let's say November and into December, the holiday season, do you recall the holidays for 2022?
Yes.
Can you tell us, was that a fun time for the Clancys?
Lindsay was struggling. We were all very concerned.
At some point, after being prescribed some medication, you recall that Lindsay told you that she thought she developed a benzodependency, correct?
I vaguely remember that.
That would be on November 29th, where she says, I just deep down inside of me feel that I've developed a benzodependence after just 2 weeks of using it, and I feel like no one is hearing that and addressing it, and we keep throwing different meds in the mix that aren't really addressing the real issue. Do you recall that message?
It sounds familiar.
And she asks you, or you respond, so hard, I don't know what to do, so should you not use it? And she responds, I guess not, but then I don't sleep, right? Do you recall that?
I can't say for certain. It sounds right. Yes.
And then you respond, exactly. And she tells you that she's just depressed and she thinks it was brought on by the medication, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, on November 30th at 7:52, I was never ever this depressed. It was brought on by the medication. Did you say that or did she say that?
She probably said that.
And in fact, the defendant, she told you that it was great and that she was glad she went to church that day on Christmas Day.
Yes, she did.
And then after that, you're aware they went down to Connecticut to see her family.
Right.
Now, are you an active member in the Catholic Church?
Yes.
So you're aware that murder is considered a mortal sin?
Counsel, could I see? And what that means is you are not to consider it for any reason or any purpose. Okay? All right. Counsel.
I believe so.
Nothing further.
All right, Ms. Graything, redirect?
So she asked you about options that were available to Lindsay, correct?
Yes,
And you mentioned one of them was that she could go to the Women and Infants program in Rhode Island that specializes in perinatal and postpartum, right?
yes,
You know that she went there, right?
correct.
You know she was turned away because she was over-medicated, right?
Yes,
You also know that they gave her numbers to call suicide hotlines, right?
yes,
She called twice, not once, but twice, and again was turned away. Isn't that right?
yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Como?
On that. So you're aware she was turned away because she told you she was turned away, right?
I don't remember the details of that visit or that day.
You didn't review the records, did you?
No,
So you're not aware that they actually deferred to Pat and Lindsay reporting over medication?
I remember something being said that she wasn't a candidate for that program. That's what I recall being told by Patrick and Lindsay.
Okay. And that's because everything she described was reported connected to medication and occurred well after what's considered the postpartum period, right?
I don't know.
Well, you're a labor and delivery nurse. You know the postpartum period could be up to a year, right?
I've heard it could be longer.
But generally, it's within the first 12 weeks that you start to see some symptoms.
I don't know.
But you're aware that she was sent from Women and Infants with actually several options, where it included inpatient treatment for medication management, a partial hospitalization program focused on general mental health, or continued outpatient management. That's what she was sent away with.
Okay.
Nothing further.
May I? One more?
Go ahead, one.
So outpatient management, that would include somebody like Gelada, right?
Yes.
You know that Women and Infants called Gelada and she never called them back?
I didn't know that.
Okay, that may be admitted.
Thank you. Now, doctor, if you can tell me, do you know, not necessarily personally, but do you know of Lindsay Clancy?
I know about the case in general, but I don't know anyone personally.
Now, you have never met her, is that correct?
That's correct.
You've never talked to her, right?
Never have.
You've never evaluated her for what's called criminal responsibility, is that correct?
That's correct. I have not.
I consulted with you for purposes of psychopharmacology and issues like that on this case, is that right?
Yes. She reported all those symptoms, yes.
Doctor, when a doctor like Tufts is meeting with a person and checking the boxes, can that doctor give a blood test to the patient?
Certainly.
Is that important in your opinion, that a doctor give a patient, especially a woman who's coming to them for help with these symptoms, give them a blood test?
Yes.
And again, we all know what blood tests are, but just tell me, I mean, is that a simple test? Is it a complicated test?
It's fairly simple to have blood drawn, and there are many tests that are relevant, particularly after a woman has given birth.
Why?
Well, some women become anemic. Depends on how much blood loss might have occurred during birth, but there's usually some blood loss. So checking hemoglobin levels is important. The thyroid can be affected by delivery of the baby, and some women in the postpartum period develop inflammation of the thyroid. The thyroid is a very important gland that regulates many parts of the body.
Is that why many times when a competent psychiatrist is treating a patient that is postpartum after having a baby, that they might run, and I may be wrong saying it, but a thyroid test?
They would do most commonly two different kinds of thyroid tests. They would test for thyroid stimulating hormone, which goes up when the thyroid hormones that also can be tested for actually go down. So thyroid stimulating hormone is telling the body, make more thyroid hormone because it's not enough in the circulation.
Did Tufts ever use a blood test at all in her treatment?
No, she did not.
Did Tufts ever check the thyroid levels of Lindsay Clancy at all during her treatment?
No, she did not.
How about gelata? Did they test any of those things?
No, Nurse Gelata did not do blood testing either. Yes.
Is this like considered, some people say, the Bible of psychiatry, or is it like a cookbook?
I would call it a dictionary. It's a list of definitions.
If I looked under P in this dictionary, would it contain anything about postpartum psychosis for a woman?
There is one mention on page 148.
That's it.
That's it.
The rest of the world, they don't care about the DSM. They have some other
Yes.
information, right? What is that called?
The World Health Organization publishes something called the International Classification of Disease, which is now in its 11th edition. It lists postpartum psychosis as a separate entity. And that's the one that insurance companies use for billing purposes.
Right, not this.
Correct. That's correct.
And so this affidavit that counsel's been referring to that you drafted, you revised it for these proceedings, but fair to say you went through a series of records that didn't include anything related to this criminal case, meaning no police reports, interviews, photos from the scene. Is that fair to say?
No police reports, no photos from the scene.
So the majority of what you reviewed pertained to medical records, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you cite to in your affidavit a New Yorker article for facts.
Yes.
That's where you got most of your facts, is from a New Yorker article.
No, I also spoke to Mr. Clancy.
You spoke to Mr. Clancy?
Yes.
Is that in your affidavit? Well, you have it before you. Can you point to a paragraph where you indicate that you got a report directly from Mr. Clancy?
I don't know if it's in the affidavit. Yes, fair to say.
Now, you also reference in your affidavit that the defendant had reported that she had these increased symptoms with Zoloft and didn't sleep for 48 hours after increasing the dose. Remember that in the record?
Yes, from 25 to 50.
And you didn't review any police reports to identify that there were only 7 pills missing from that bottle of sertraline, did you?
I did not review a police report, no.
So if a person takes 7 pills over 1 week period at 25 milligrams, how do they increase the dose without more pills missing from the bottle?
Well, I believe if you took 3 or 4 pills for a few days of 25, then you still would have enough pills to take 2 25s and increase the dose to 50.
Right, but if a prescription reads that if 30 are filled and only 7 are missing from the pill bottle when it's located months later, then if you've taken 7 pills, you've taken 1 pill each day, correct?
Not necessarily. I believe that she stopped taking the medication rather quickly. And I'm not sure which pill bottle you're discussing because, as you said, I didn't review a police report.
Members of the jury, I think we got everything fixed. So thanks for your patience. The next witness that's going to testify is going to be testify either by Zoom or teleconference, as you can see. I just want to tell you, this witness will be under oath, and you can consider her testimony the same as if she was testifying here live. Okay? All right. Mr. Rankin.
Yes, thank you.
May I swear her in?
Yes.
Dr. Laprasado, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you shall make You solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant at the bar shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Counsel.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Can you hear me?
You're a little echoey, but I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just standing in the corner here so that everybody can hear you. Tell us your name and spell your last name, please.
Dr. Elizabeth Laposata, Laposata.
And fair to say that you have some issues that require you to speak to us today by Zoom rather than appearing in person as you intended to do. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Tell us what you do for work, Doctor.
Well, I'm a medical doctor, board certified in anatomic and forensic pathology. So I have an active practice in forensic pathology where I review cases to understand how people get injured or how people die. We see a depiction of the back side of the house, and the top window on the second floor is open. That's where she would have put her palms down on the windowsill and put her head out and precipitated down to fall on the hard frozen ground. During her fall, head first, she had cuts on her wrists which were bleeding, and her coming head down on the side of that building would then transfer some of that blood onto the side of the building, which was found in the scene photographs. She then hits really head first as her body descends that 13 or 14 feet. And if you look at the, so she really did a free fall dive head first. Then if you look on the right upper two diagrams that just show a skull, this illustrates the forces then that were applied to Lindsay's head from hitting the ground and then her head bending a little bit. And what she got from that is what we call a characteristic burst fracture or a Jefferson fracture. And this is a fracture that we see with people who hit their head head on, like if they've taken a dive into a swimming pool and they hit their head on the bottom. It's a classic finding in people who have energy applied to the falling head. And what it does is that it takes the first cervical vertebrae, which kind of looks like a donut, as you see up there in the middle, and it squashes it. The base of the skull then squashes that, and then like a donut, it kind of spreads it out. And she had 6 or 7 fractures of that cervical vertebrae, number 1, the ring of that. And the fractures I have pointed to there with arrows. So that is called the characteristic Jefferson fracture from hitting your head, the top of your head, in a dive first position. So you could also describe it as a bursting type fracture. But you don't get any spinal cord injury from that because the area, the hole in the middle is pretty big. So it just crushes down on the sides and fractures the ring around the spinal cord. So that tells me immediately that she landed head first and went down the window, went down head first, still available.
Now, Doctor, when she went to the Brigham and Women's Hospital, were you reviewing the medical records and able to discern that she actually coded as a result of her injuries?
Yes, she did. She was in spinal shock and hypothermia, and her heart did stop.
And did you observe that there were, and I quote, massive blood transfusions to treat her at Brigham and Women's?
Yeah, she lost a lot of blood around the muscles that hold the spine up because that was so damaged. So her hemoglobin and hematocrit and her red blood cell level was very low on admission.
And the final question I had, Doctor, is as it relates to the records, it showed that she had a core body temperature of 82 degrees as opposed to 98.6, which we're accustomed to Can you tell the jury, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, what does that mean and how did that happen? I mean, that's pretty low.
Yes, that is low. That's like, 16 degrees below normal. And so her low body temperature came from lying on the hard frozen ground, which would be 32 degrees frozen ground. She had wet clothing on, so wet clothing is going to transmit the body heat into the atmosphere quicker than dry clothing. It was indoor clothes. She didn't have a big parka on. There was no sun at that time to keep her body temperature up. The ambient or the air temperature was around 30 degrees. She has a thin body, and also, most importantly, because of that thoracic spinal cord transection, she lost the ability to control her body temperature below that level. So that means all her blood vessels just dilate and they just lose heat to the atmosphere. I'm sure there was some bruising on her scalp under her hair, but that was not a major concern at the time she was taken into the hospital.
You keep saying you're sure there were bruises, that you're sure that there was this or that that's not shown in any photographs or medical evidence. So you're not sure, are you? You're assuming.
No, I'm sure.
Doctor, in your report that you provided to defense counsel, you also talked about the strangulation of the children, correct?
I did.
And in your report, you wrote that it would have taken 5 to 10 seconds for unconsciousness to occur, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall testifying previously in State of Rhode Island versus Kimberly Fry, case number W1/2010-0413A? Do you recall testifying previously in that case?
No, I don't.
Let me refresh your memory. It was a woman who had killed her 8-year-old daughter by asphyxia, and you testified.
Oh, yes, manual strangulation, yes.
Yeah, so ring a bell?
Yes.
Okay. And so you testified back in 2011 in that case, and you were asked, if you have a very complete compression, strike that. You were asked, unconsciousness due to oxygenation can occur within 10 to 20 seconds. And you said if you have a very complete compression of the blood vessels of the neck, you can become unconscious within 10 to 20 seconds. And then you were asked, I'm just saying hypothetically, just strangulation alone is 10 to 20 seconds. And you said if it is effectively and continuously applied, like in a lateral vascular neck restraint, most times there is a struggle going on, so you can't quite get that. So in that case there, you didn't testify that it was 5 to 10 seconds. You testified that it was 10 to 20 seconds, and that if there's any struggling, it could be longer, correct?
Yes, but that case was...
Well, that was a yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no question.
All right.
Defense can follow up.
Hold on. She's answered the question, and then we'll have a redirect if counsel would like to.
Well, I don't remember
Hold on,
what
Doctor.
I said.
Why don't you, Doctor,
Sorry.
wait for a question.
You were also
I'm
asked
sorry.
in that same trial, Doctor, the question put to you in that trial was, but once that unconsciousness set in, you agree with me that there had to have been a consistent application of pressure, either suffocation, strangulation, or compressions of the chest for 2 to 3 more minutes continuously while the child was unconscious, correct? And you answered, I think that's a fair statement. And the question was, you said that before yourself, correct? And you answered yes. And then the question was, I'm asking your opinion, and you said, the question was, after Camden became unconscious, after 2 to 3 minutes of continuous application of one of those 3, and you answered correct. Is that right?
I have no memory of that. I'm sure you're reading it correctly.
Well, you have memory of your medical knowledge, correct?
Sure, I have memory of my medical knowledge.
And so at that point in time, in 2011, you testified that you would have to strangle someone 10 to 20 seconds at least to unconsciousness, and then you would have to continue to strangle them for 2 to 3 minutes for death to occur. And you said correct. Is that still your medical knowledge?
That's a different case. That was not ligature, that was a manual.
So either way, you're talking about the compression of the neck causing a loss of oxygen and blood, correct?
I'll allow this question. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are many ways that can occur, and the way the pressure is applied is very important in understanding how long it takes to become unconscious. These are the children here were the victims of what we call ligature strangulation. The Fry case that's coming back to me a little now, that was a manual strangulation and also a body compression, which is a totally different type of asphyxia.
That's what you said, correct?
Yes, in order to become dead, brain dead, you need the physiology is that you become unconscious within 5 to 10 seconds, and then you're unconscious, but that's not dead. Then that continued constriction of the blood flow has to be still continuously applied for the brain to die.
Correct. So
that is what happens, and that's what happened to the Clancy children. The ligatures were wrapped around. They went unconscious in 5 to 10, maybe 20 seconds, probably less than 20 seconds because it was a ligature, not a manual strangulation. So it was immediately compressed, unconsciousness within 10 seconds, and then death within 5 to 10 minutes after that.
With continuous pressure. With continuous pressure around the neck.
Yes, because this is a ligature strangulation.
Thank you.
Not manual.
Okay, so when you're talking about ligature strangulation as opposed to manual strangulation, tell us in your mind what that means.
Well, they're very, very different. Manual strangulation means that somebody's used their hand and they've pressed either side of the neck. Okay, that the hand is manual strangulation. Strangulation means that you have stopped the blood flow that comes out of your brain, and the carotid artery continues to pump oxygenated blood into your brain, but it can't drain out through the jugular veins. So with continuous pressure, then the blood can't get in because it can't flow out. It's kind of like stopping up a pipe. And then so you go unconscious within 5 to 10 seconds, but then with continued pressure, your brain dies. So the difference between manual and ligature is that manual can be kind of an off and on thing. You may you have a jugular vein on either side of your neck. So if you're using a hand, you might compress one greater than the other. You might let go. The person that you're trying to strangle may struggle and remove your hand a little bit. So it's a very different sequence of events to end up with brain death and asphyxia. Whereas wrapping a round loop resistance band, which is a ligature, immediately compresses those vessels. There's no coming off, there's no putting back on. So it's a very complete, one-time, immediate, non-varying compression with those exercise bands ligature, which causes unconsciousness effectively within 4 to 10 seconds.
And in reference to the manual strangulation, where generally somebody would use their hands and perhaps press with their thumbs, that has a very common, that you see many times, fracture of what's called the hyoid bone, correct?
Yes, that can happen, absolutely. A little U-shaped bone up underneath the jaw. So they both cause, brain death from lack of oxygen to the brain, but the way they get there, that's leading up to that, is a totally different pathophysiologic process.
So when counsel went through the Rhode Island case, whatever that name was, and was reading from a transcript and asking you questions about the time that a person through manual strangulation, and then she made reference to suffocation, she made reference to strangulation, she made reference to compression of the chest. That has nothing to do, in your opinion, with the ligature strangulation. Is that correct?
It's a totally different mechanism of injury.
Thank you.
The nature of their injuries.
So in this case, for example, forget about workman's comp. Let's talk about a murder charge. If a defendant submits to a psychological test, such as the MMPI, and the interpretation by a psychologist of ostensibly be able to tell the psychologist that?
Yes.
Was it MMPI administered by the government's doctors on this case to Lindsay?
Yes.
Did that have a K-scale as to whether or not she was lying or exaggerating or malingering or trying to fake that she had some disease or defect?
Yes, it had a case.
And what were the results of the government's doctors' tests on the Minnesota multifaceted personality as So, doctor, let me just, as we say, lead you a little bit. Yes or no answers would be fine. Were you aware that a test was administered by the government's doctor, I think it was Dr. Helbrin, to Lindsay Clancy in the course of the government's evaluation?
Yes.
And did you consider the results in the interpretation of that test as part of your opinion for this jury?
Yes.
And to that extent, as you discuss whether or not somebody is faking or somebody is exaggerating, do you have an opinion based upon your review of the discovery in the case to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether or not Lindsay Clancy, in the course of that evaluation, was malingering or lying or exaggerating?
Yes, I do.
Tell the jury.
My opinion in the testing of Ms. Clancy regarding the MMPI was that
Objection.
Just the doctor, your opinion, doctor.
she was not faking. There was no evidence of any malingering. She presented as an honest citizen.
Okay.
11 days.
Days later, right?
Yes,
You're also aware that I needed a court order to get you into the hospital.
that's correct.
And were you able to ultimately get in the hospital, go to the surgical unit, and meet with Lindsay?
Yes.
Jurors have had a chance to look at photographs of her laying in the bed with tubes and wires and all of that. Is that what she looked like when you first saw her?
Yes. However, she was also, with her right arm, as I recall, shackled to the bed with handcuffs.
So they're not little soft little things that tie her hands to the side of the bed, but they're handcuffs?
They weren't soft. They were regular, but appeared to be metal handcuffs that police officers and perhaps officers in this court use for detaining people and arresting people.
So,
they were not soft.
While she's laying in the bed, did she have the tubes and the wires for treatment in the emergency, the intensive care unit, I should say?
Yes.
Was she intubated at that point, if you recall?
She was not.
So she was able to speak.
Yes.
Was she able to move obviously she's chained to the bed, so she couldn't get up?
She could not get up. She couldn't move below her sternum, the chest bone.
At that point, had you and I met and talked about this case at all?
No.
What was the reason I asked you to go to the hospital?
You are worried about her mental health, given the significant event that had just taken place a few days earlier. You were concerned that she had absolutely no ability to have visitors. Visitors were not permitted to meet with her, from family members to friends to a priest. No one was able to see her.
So as a result of that conversation we had, you went to the hospital, went into her room, and you were able to speak to her. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors, if you recall, what type of law enforcement presence? Uniformed cops, guns, stuff like that? What did you notice?
I noticed literally outside of her hospital room were 2 state troopers in their blue uniforms, sitting each in a chair on either side of the doorway to Ms. Clancy's room, with a nurse sitting in the corner of her room, hospital room.
And during the course of that interview with her, did she express any concern to you about her husband, Patrick?
Yes, she did.
Tell the jurors what she indicated to you.
She said, since 11 days prior to my meeting with her, which would have been January 24th, 2023, she had no contact with Patrick. She wanted to know how he was doing. She wanted to know if she could call him and find out where things are with her and with him and how he was faring, and to just speak with him.
She expressed concern about her family.
Yes, she did.
Did she express concern about what had happened?
Yes.
Did she ask you, or did you offer to her the ability to speak to her husband, Patrick?
She asked me if she could use my cell phone to call her husband.
Did she do that?
Yes, she did.
Did you hear the conversation?
Yes, I told her we'd call. It would have to be on speakerphone.
And tell us about that conversation.
So that first phone call, I believe on the 24th, he did not pick up. She left a message. I did not leave a message. We then called back 2 days later on the 6th.
And after the 2 days had transpired and the call was made on the 6th, did she have a chance to talk to Patrick?
Yes.
Were you there?
Yes.
Was she still chained to the bed?
Yes.
Were the cops still outside the room?
Yes, not in blues. They were in civilian clothing, jeans, flannel shirts.
And tell us what she said to Patrick in your presence on the speakerphone at that point.
She had told Patrick that she loved him very much. She was unable to express a lot of emotion, but she expressed love for him. And she had said that she heard a male voice ordering her, telling her that she didn't have any choice, but she had to kill her children and then kill herself.
Now, doctor, have in mind your background, your career, Did you tell Lindsay Clancy to lie or make that up and pretend that she was hearing voices?
No.
Did you have any conversation or any suggestions to her at all that she should say she heard voices or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Why did you let her call her husband on your cell phone?
I let her call her husband out of human compassion.
As time went by, did I then, oh, by the way, you've testified for me on other matters, have you not?
Yes.
We go back about 20 years?
Yes.
And we socialized together?
Yes.
So we're friends?
Yes.
And
She experienced disassociation.
all right, stop right there. What is disassociation?
Disassociation is a psychological construct that means you feel removed from your body. You don't feel in touch with your body. You feel different than the way you normally do. You look back at your life and you say, something is wrong with me. I'm not feeling the way I normally do.
Did she express, for example, when the jurors were looking at the medical records on November 27th of 2022 to nurse practitioner Gelada, that she felt that she was out of her body and that she had a disassociated state?
Yes, and that's sometimes known as a depersonalization. You feel removed from your body. You feel removed. You feel as if you are not in your full body.
Thoughts, things of that nature during this period of time, October, November, December.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
She said she had, quote, horrible thoughts, unquote. She felt that people could actually hear her thoughts. The thoughts were so loud that strangers could hear them.
Did
Sometimes,
she express at that point, for example, that she was concerned about school teachers with the Little Sprouts school with the kids, that they could read her thoughts and that she would lose custody?
yes, it's called ideas of reference. You believe other people can hear what you're thinking.
And would you tell me, doctor, in your opinion, is an individual, and we refer to postpartum psychosis, is that a particular affliction that afflicts women that have had babies and they go through a period of postpartum depression and then ultimately postpartum psychosis?
Yes.
Can you tell us, is a person, even if they are in the throes of psychosis, are they able to make a phone call?
Yes, they can.
Are they able to drive a car?
Yes.
Are they able to say, hi, how are you? I'd like to have a hot dog?
Yes.
They don't have to look at the unicorn in the corner, right?
That's correct.
Mr. Reddington, it's 4 o'clock. Is this a good time to?
Sure.
All right. So, members of the jury, we're going to recess until tomorrow morning. I would expect our schedule tomorrow will be similar to the schedule we had today, hopefully without the technology issues. And I'm just going to remind everybody the same instructions. Don't read anything about this case or similar cases. Don't talk about it. Don't listen to anything. And keep an open mind. Go home. Have a nice evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning.